Welcome to Disruption Blueprint with Shannon Spotswood from RFG Advisory. We've built an award-winning platform with innovative technology, comprehensive service, and a team of individuals who are experts in their field to serve advisors. Join us for this journey where we explore everything that has to do with running an independent advisor practice as we bring together industry experts and innovative minds who are on the bleeding edge to challenge the status quo, foster new ideas, and create a path for advisors to unleash their growth potential. Now, on to the show.
Welcome to Disruption Blueprint. This is an incredibly special episode. We are joined today with RFG's new president, Ed Swenson.
Shannon, thank you so much. Great to be here with you.
This is it's a huge day for RFG. We've had incredible press today. I'm so happy you're here.
I'm super excited to be here. So I'm excited for this conversation and really happy to be part of the team.
We're going to have some fun. So I'm just going to jump right into it and kind of go for the guts, which is why RFG and why now?
So why RFG for me? I'll go back to where I think the market's going and where it is for advisors. And overwhelmingly, advisors and assets are flowing to independent RIAs. And there are a lot of reasons we can go into why that is, but it doesn't really matter what channel and wealth you look at. The growth is 100% in the independent RIA space. Better outcomes for clients, more flexibility and better outcome for advisors. And so I really wanted to plant myself in that part of the market. Second is culture, people, a winning team. As you know, I've been on the board of RFG for 2 years, so I've been able to see it firsthand and was really excited to join this particular team at this point in time because I think there's an amazing opportunity here to grow the company and I want to be part of it. And then third, honestly, I love the entrepreneurial spirit and I think that that's meaningful for advisors. I think they can feel it and I think they want to partner with firms that have that entrepreneurial culture and spirit. And that's what RFG has.
It's amazing because I think a lot of people like to talk about being entrepreneurial and want to be entrepreneurs. And, you've been in it your entire career, 25 years in the industry, co-founder of Dynasty, $0 to 60 billion when you left. While I've had 10 years at RFG, on the ground, my entire career is as an entrepreneur. And I do believe there's a real esprit de corps and builders supporting builders, entrepreneurs supporting entrepreneurs.
100%. And I would just say for all those entrepreneurs out there who are listening or those that want to be entrepreneurs, high highs, low lows, but unbelievably rewarding. And what I noticed that every entrepreneur has is they're running towards something better. And so for an advisor, it's that they have an idea on how they can better help their clients, how they better help their customers. Maybe there's a segmentation of the market they want to go after, and in their current seat, they can't do that. Or maybe they just want to build a great business, create enterprise value for themselves and their family, which is now possible in the independent space because of firms like RFG.
Right. It is, I love to talk about how there's no greater gift than sitting at the intersection of talent and opportunity and building something bigger than yourself. And that to me encapsulates what it means to be an entrepreneur.
And for those advisors who want to be an entrepreneur, this is the best time to do it.
Yes.
Because you have the firms like an RFG that can support you from infrastructure, technology, compliance, access to investments, handling everything from, your billing, helping you with a P&L. So this is the time that you can add immense value as an advisor if you want to go out and be an entrepreneur. It's also a period in time when there's a lot of consolidation. Mm-hmm. And so you have a lot of advisors who don't have a succession plan.
Right.
And so especially for those advisors who want to grow their book by bringing on other colleagues or other books of business or friends that are in the business and creating bigger businesses, this is also a great time to be doing that. And we're seeing a lot of that in this market. And so it's a fantastic time to do it.
We're gonna circle back to that because I really believe that there is no better time than now to be independent. So I'm gonna save that. Yep. But I want to take a little bit of a walk down and through your professional career. So you've dedicated really your life's work professionally to serving advisors. You had an incredible incredible journey, co-founding Dynasty, and then you went to the other side of the spectrum and spent 2 years as the president of RA Solutions over at Osaic, big independent broker-dealer. So you've seen small companies grow into big companies. You've seen very large companies. First, talk about just your journey professionally, and then I want to dig in a little bit to the contrast that you've seen and what that means for RFG.
So my journey started actually in the wirehouse. So I've hit almost all the channels, but I started at Smith Barney back in the late 90s. And that channel was, at the time, pretty entrepreneurial. And it was a great place to start my career. But what we found over time was there was really an opportunity around 2010 when we started Dynasty to help advisors go independent and set up their own firms. And so that was what the impetus behind Dynasty was. And it was a very successful model. And it allowed the advisors to have more flexibility, more control over their own destiny, control their client experience, use new technologies. My role at Osaic was helping create the RIA channel for Osaic, which is very important for them strategically and something that they're very focused on. What I really like about where we are now, what you and I are building, is we're small enough to be nimble and to move very quickly in a market that's really transitioning very quickly. Technology is evolving, capital solutions are evolving. And so I believe we are close to the advisor as far as being helpful. We're present. The team is a concierge type team, so very hands-on, and we're able to respond very quickly to what the advisor's needs are. And you get that back to that entrepreneurial spirit. I personally think that's the winning combination in the market. And my journey, both through a big bank, then an independent RIA, entrepreneurial journey, and then with a broker-dealer, has led me back to where we are now, which I'm really excited about, which is how to combine the best of some of these channels. But again, it all goes back to empowering advisors, empowering them to do what's best for their clients and for helping them grow enterprise value and use tools to create great businesses, which can be very meaningful for them long term.
Let's talk a little bit about where we are right now. You know, it is the data. This is not just an opinion. It's not just a headline. The data tells us we are in a bull market for advice. So the demand for advice over the next 10 years increasing by 30%, while advisor headcount decreasing by 0.2%. To your point, there is this abundance of both capital and technology that are empowering advisors to build, generationally valuable businesses. So talk a little bit about your vision of where we are in the industry.
I still think we're early days for independent RIA businesses. And the reason for that is, the vast majority of advisors still sit at a big bank or a wirehouse or broker-dealer. The independent RIA space is catching up in assets. You're seeing a crossover between the wirehouses and the independent RIA business as far as assets. But as far as advisors, if you include broker-dealer and big banks, overwhelmingly, there's still a lot there, which means there are a lot of advisors who have yet to go independent, in my mind, and create businesses. At the same time, you mentioned this, you have a succession planning, something I've called in the past the silver tsunami of retiring advisors. And where are those books going to go? And who's going to manage and help those clients manage those assets? And so if you are an entrepreneurial advisor, there's this opportunity, this point in time, this window where you can take advantage of those retiring advisors in a way where you can help them potentially in succession plan and build your own practice. And then you're empowered with the tools on the technology side to grow organically. And this is where RFG really stands out because the organic growth rates at RFG blow away the metrics in other channels. And that's just a fact. Why is that? Because you're giving the advisors who are entrepreneurial and want to grow the tools to grow their businesses. And as a lot of advisors know out there, that's not always the case. And so we're 100% focused on that. I think that's the winning strategy. I think that's the why.
It really is. It's been just an incredible journey to build a platform that is intentionally engineered and architected to drive organic growth. I mean, our mission is to help independent advisors build their business. I always say, underline it, capitalize it, flashing lights around the word there, build their business without compromise by driving organic growth to create enterprise value. the reason we put organic growth like squarely in the middle of that mission is that it is a codependent system to be able to empower advisors to unleash that level of organic growth. You have to have the technology talking to the marketing growth services, supported by the coaching, supported by compliance, supported by investment management. None of these critical core services that an advisor has to rely on can be siloed or can be just independently excellent.
Yep.
The magic, right? The organic growth magic happens because of the deep integration and the intentionality of building a flywheel.
Organic growth is the key metric. So when an advisor says, how do I make my practice more valuable? It's really organic growth rate, size, and profitability. But the organic growth rate is what we're lacking in the industry. And that's what stands out to me about RFG, the ability to empower advisors to grow their practices with the right tools. And the second point, which you mentioned, is providing resources and a team in partnership with RFG so that the advisor doesn't have to do it on their own. So what's my best and highest use? I could try to build my own house. I could try to cut my own hair. I could try to do my own, lawn work. But in essence, I outsource a lot of that to focus on what I know how to do best. And similarly, we're trying to do the same. We partner with advisors so that they can focus on getting new clients, helping existing clients, and so that we can take off the due diligence and the integrations and the compliance and all these things that go into running a practice. So I think that's where the RFG has a big advantage in the marketplace, to really focus on those places where advisors really don't want to or don't have the subject matter expertise or are just better served, in different parts of their lives, spending their time differently.
Yeah, absolutely. I often quote the Fidelity benchmarking study, and it was just such an eye-opening, analysis that they did over the course of the last 2 years. Or 2 years ago, they just shine this bright light that only 17% of advisors are raising their hand and admitting to being in a state of thriving, and the rest are just surviving. And the reason for it is advisors spending 60% of their time on non-revenue generating activity.
Yeah.
So they're not growing, they're burning time on non-revenue generating activities. And as a result, of course, they're not thriving.
Right.
And so it's like flip that entire paradigm.
Flip the whole paradigm. And even the most successful advisors, they hit a ceiling. There are only so many hours in a day.
Yeah.
And so we're here to take that off their plate. We're here to support them so they can spend more time with the clients, prospecting, build their book of business, and we'll take all the stuff off them off their plate that they don't want to be doing.
Or more time with their family.
More time with their family.
Intentional life design.
Yeah. And so that's where we really step in, I think, in a really valuable way for advisors.
Yeah. From really over the course of the last 10 years, we've always talked about RFG. We're a client experience company first, we're a technology company second, and we're a fully integrated service platform third. Let's talk about number 2, technology.
Yep.
You're passionate about it. I'm passionate about it. We love to be really living at the tip of the spear in terms of innovation and disruption and harnessing technology in order to help our advisors impact that client relationship, grow that business, build that enterprise value. What is your vision for where we are in that tech adoption cycle, and how do you see technology being a competitive advantage for RFG?
Well, first, I think you got to position yourself so that it can be a competitive advantage, because if any advisor has spent enough time in a big firm, you realize that it feels like financial services is the last industry to be disrupted by technology. It feels like the last place where I can get whatever I want in the world pretty much delivered to my door within 24 hours, but I can't do X, Y, Z in financial services. And so first, position yourself for success. And I think that's where the size of RFG and our subject matter expertise in technology comes into play, because we can really lean into that and be nimble and take advantage of what's out there. And so number 1 is, I think, position yourself for success. And then number 2 is we're going through an unbelievably explosive period in technology advancements. And I don't have to say this, you don't have to say this. I mean, what's going on with the infrastructure build and AI and data lakes and all of these integrations and open APIs are opening up tons of new avenues for advisors. But the key in my mind is advisors are not going to get disrupted by technology. The advisor's role will always be absolutely critical and essential. And the better the advisor, the more essential and critical it will continue to be. So the better the team, the more they will take advantage of technology to help them scale and to help them offer a better product for their client. In no way will they be replaced or disrupted. The whole robo fad came and went very quickly. But our job is to say, how can we be thinking about using that technology, be on the cutting edge, so that our advisor teams are operating at a higher level than their competitors in the market, and their clients, most importantly, are getting a great experience because of all the new capabilities that are in the market. And so that's where I think there's a halo effect that RFG can have over all of our advisors by harnessing this technology in a very real way. And I think what I've seen, best in class, which I'm super excited about.
Yeah, it is. The world's going to look a lot different in 12 months, 18 months, 2 years.
That's the scary thing.
It really is.
So we've got to be able to take advantage of that.
That's right.
That's where being this size and being nimble is, I think, super valuable.
One thing that you said earlier when we were talking about this that I thought was so important is having the North Star on technology be what is of most value to the advisor.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a glory project, like, let's go build for building's sake.
Yeah, there are a lot of vanity projects in technology, and I've been associated with a few of them and probably led a few of them. But it's really about what's the use case. If the advisor wants to be able to open an account and there are 10 steps, how do we automate that?
Right.
And how do we use the data that we already have in the systems to repopulate over multiple other systems so that they don't have to? And so it's sometimes very basic, but where AI is going with predictive analytics and with LLMs, it's unbelievably powerful what these use cases can look like. And again, to take advantage of it in a smaller firm is much easier than in a much bigger firm. And so and I know your passion is listening to advisors and then implementing something that we can then scale across the whole RFG community. And your best ideas always come from advisors. And so us listening to the field and to the community and then implementing, everyone gets the benefit of kind of the crowdsourcing of that idea.
I've always said that I think one of RFG's greatest superpowers is that we're really good listeners, but then we actually do something about it. Like, we're great listeners, but we're great at execution. And when we look back on the technology for 2024 and the implementation of both feature enhancements and new solutions, more than 50% of that was advisor sourced. And I'm convinced when we look at the data for the full year for 2025, just having, glimpsed into the first 9 months of that number is going to be more like 65%. Like, it is your competitive advantage. The advisors are closest to the client. They're the ones closest to running their business. Like, being able to hear that feedback, harness the power of our relationships to identify what are the best solutions, how do you integrate it, how do you deliver it, and then actually execute on it. It's just, it's key.
And I would argue to prospective advisors thinking about making that move to independence, a community like RFG's, where all these best-in-class ideas are coming from, is really powerful. You're not alone. You're not on your own. You're part of a community of ideas, a community that comes up with new ways of implementing technology. And so our job is to listen and then for the team to implement and execute on that.
I love that because it really segues nicely into talking about culture, which is probably one of the most overused words. But I always say that culture is one of your greatest competitive advantages because you truly have control over it, and there's a 24-hour shot clock on it. You have to wake up every single day, your team, your partners, and rededicate yourself to that culture. It's a living, breathing organism. And at RFG, our culture is defined across our advisors and across our team as servant heart, growth mindset. How does that, how did that appeal to you? How does that just sit in a very intentional and connected way with your leadership style, but also your values?
And just, if I can make the comment that you are one of the most amazing cultural carriers I've ever met. And so you're the heart and soul of RFG's culture, which is phenomenal. To me, culture is, as I've gotten older, more important than other things because it's the driving force, it's the purpose, it's the why. Why people want to be involved with something has to do with vision, mission, but who they're doing it with and the culture of that firm. And this culture, to me, is special because it's advisor-centric. It's not very bureaucratic, it's not very top-down, it's advisor-centric, meaning people understand that the advisors are the ones that pay the bills. And I think that sometimes gets lost And I think that's one of our competitive advantages here.
It is one of the most motivating factors, I think, for all of us. We know when we get out of bed in the morning, we only win when our advisors win. And it doesn't mean that we don't make mistakes. It doesn't mean that there isn't plenty of room for us to keep iterating. But we do have a very, very clear North Star, which is we win when our advisors win. And that makes making decisions and hiring decisions and investment decisions and culture decisions a lot easier.
Yeah. There's a great saying, when your values are clear, decisions are easy. And I think if I'm a prospective advisor, I have to think about, who do I want to partner with? Who do I want in the trench with me? And that kind of culture is really important. Not to get lost in kind of the numbers of a large organization, to be a really important part of what we're building. And I think all of our advisors feel that way. And again, back to data, our NPS scores would indicate that they feel that way. So it's not just us saying that. There's hard data to back that up, that's what makes RFG unique.
Yeah, you mentioned that you've been a board member of RFGs for 2 years. It's been such an incredible journey, and I love, you and I've had a call every other week for the last 2 years. I think we've only missed, maybe 3 or 4. So you've walked the journey, and one of the things that I was really excited about in terms of your expertise and bringing that to our advisors and really to our prospective advisors and those in the future that are going to join us, is capital strategies. And deploying capital in, again, a very advisor-focused way. So talk a little bit about what you see in RFG's capital strategies and how that can be a benefit and a tool for advisors.
Yeah, I think a tool is the right word. There are, I'd say, 3 big buckets of use for capital, and we have the ability to provide it. So I think that's kind of the punchline, is we have the ability to provide it. But number one, you see in our industry the need for succession planning. So if it's a larger team and you have normally a principal, and then you have a second generation that's coming up through the ranks, you're going to want to find over time, a way to transition the ownership of the company to the next generation. Normally, the next generation doesn't have a lot of money because they're early in their career to buy the equity. And so capital can be used as a bridge between Gen 1 and Gen 2, and kind of a continuity between these generations, and a very healthy firm. Second would be M&A. There are 14,000 RIAs, in this country. It's a very fragmented market. Over 50% of those are under 100 million in assets. And so as those firms consolidate in different markets, we want to be able to help our advisors and provide capital to do that consolidation. Not only the capital, but help structure the deal, help talk through what kind of structure makes the most sense for those teams that are coming together, and then help coach them, along the way on doing that. And then the third use of capital, I would say, is more of a debt type capital. Debt or minority interest. And where this gets really interesting is that there's an opportunity for the advisors that are joining RFG to partner with RFG in our growth. And so either have a little bit of RFG equity or us take some equity in their firm. Either way, it's the alignment of interests and that partnership. All these are on the table. We'd love to have conversations with people about it, but we're open to those conversations, and it's been very popular with a lot of the teams, as you know, in the last few years.
Well, and it's so interesting because there are so many flavors of ice cream from a capital perspective that it's challenging for advisors to know which path is the right path.
Yeah, and I'd say there are a lot of different options now in the market. A lot of people have come into this market. Not all capital is the same, though. So number one, pick someone where it's strategic. They're going to help you grow your business, not just give you money. And 2, don't take money if you can't grow your business, because at the end of the day, that's not a very good deal. Most of the advisors I know want to be in this business another 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Think about all the ability to grow your business. So short-term decision versus the ability to grow and exit at a much bigger number, really important considerations.
And I just think, oftentimes in the capital conversation in particular, or at the finish line, when you're in a competitive bid situation, recruiting an advisor, you've got to come back to that community piece. You've got to come back to your why. Like, I know for me, like, the greatest gift is building a great business with great people. And I think that that is a lens that is oftentimes not applied to capital, but is actually very, it's very clarifying in helping make those decisions.
And I think the good news is you can have it all.
Yeah.
You can do both.
Right here at RFG.
You can do it here. But it is true. Some advisors will take the capital without really understanding the ramifications on their happiness, their ability to be an entrepreneur and to grow their business in the future.
So the two biggest factors holding back advisors from making a change, whether it's, from their own RIA and they're burnt out and they're ready to step into a model where they have all of these concierge resources around them, or they're in the IBD space, or they're in the wirehouse channel, is fear. Fear is probably fear. And then the just inconvenience and PTSD of transition, the disruption to their life, the disruption to their income. This is something that I know you and I both are like chasing. We're down to transitions are 39 days at RFG. I've had a 30-day goal for 10 years. I'm highly convicted that we will be there in the next really 3 to 6 months. But talk about that fear factor. Why is now the time that advisors should make their move?
Well, that's what RFG is here for. I mean, we de-risk that move. We have a fully staffed transition team. We'll go on site. We'll help you plan the move over 3 to 6 months. I mean, we'll check all the boxes that need to be checked so that you don't feel like there is a big risk as an advisor. And by the way, the capabilities, and this is well known in the independent space, are as good, if not much better, than at other more captive channels and environments. Technology tends to be a little bit better. Access to product and platform and capital markets tends to be better. So there's really not a reason why other than fear. But that's what we're here for. And that's why you want to be careful in who you pick as a partner. You want to do it with people that have done it before, that have the team, that have the right culture. And once you check those boxes, I would say that ability to do it is just a matter of having the conversations and educating yourself on the process. And that does take time. It's not a decision that can be made like that, but it's a process. And once you get comfortable with it, I can tell you this, no advisor that ever went independent went back.
Right. It's a one-way street.
It's a one-way street.
Yeah.
And so that's what we want to do, is have more conversations and explain the process. And then it's up to us to execute on it. And our reputations depend on execution. So we take that very seriously.
Yeah. Well, I love it. Well, I know I can speak for the entire team. We are absolutely thrilled to have you join us on this journey to build the RIA of the future. And I think we've got a really, really bright future in front of us.
I'm really excited to be here, and I do believe the future is very bright. So thank you for having me, and I'm excited about that.
Let's go crush it.
Let's do it.
Thank you for listening to the Disruption Blueprint podcast. Click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Visit our website at www.rfgadvisory.com or schedule a call on our advisor resources page. And don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available.
Content here is for illustrative purposes and general information only. It is not legal, tax, or individualized financial advice, nor is it a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any specific security or engage in any specific trading strategy. Information here may be provided in part by third-party sources. These sources are generally deemed to be reliable. However, neither our guests nor RFG Advisory guarantee the accuracy of third-party sources. The views expressed here are those of our guest. They do not necessarily represent those of RFG Advisory, its employees, or its clients. This commentary should not be regarded as a description of advisory services provided by RFG Advisory or performance returns of any client. The views reflected in the commentary are subject to change at any time without notice. RFG Advisory is an SEC-registered investment advisor. SEC registration does not constitute an endorsement of RFG by the Commission, nor does it indicate that RFG or any associated investment advisory representative has attained a particular level of skill or ability.